Good morning students. Welcome to English online classes. My name is Apurva, lecturer in English, Gopalaswamy Shishuvihara, Independent PU College, MYSURU. So, in my previous session, I had discussed about note making. What is the meaning of note making? What are the advantages and procedure of note making? And also, I had solved some questions on note making, right? So, in this session, I am going to deal with the new concept, that is passage for comprehension or unseen passage from your 2nd PUC English workbook, Streams. So what is passage for comprehension? Just think you and your friend decided to play a game in which one person tells or narrates a story and the second one has to answer the related questions asked. So firstly, your friend tells you a story and asks some questions based on that story. What will you do while listening to the story or answering to the question? You will try to listen as carefully, as dedicatedly as possible, and you will try to find the answer from the passage and not make your own assumptions. So this is the basic idea of passage comprehension. So when we speak about passage comprehension, at least we should know the meaning of comprehension, right? So the word comprehension, which means the ability to understand what we read or what we listen. Which means here passage comprehension is nothing but reading a passage or a couple of paragraphs and trying to understand or trying to extract the meaning out of it and answering the questions which are asked from the passage. In a comprehension test, you are given a passage or a paragraph or two and your main task is to answer the questions which are set on the paragraph. So this is just an introduction about the paragraph. Now let us move on to the misconceptions related to the passage comprehension. So there are some misconceptions related to the way of answering the comprehension test. And the first misconception is, it is possible to understand the key idea of the paragraph by just reading the first and the last sentences, but this is not always correct. So here the first misconception is, it is possible to understand the meaning of the passage or the idea of the passage just by reading the first and the last sentences of the passage, but this is a misconception because we won't be able to understand the meaning or the idea of the passage by just reading a few lines or by just reading the first and the last lines of the passage. We can't answer the questions like this. We won't be able to answer the following questions which are set on the passage by just reading few lines of the passage. And the second misconception is, reading the question first will help to understand the paragraph better. So here the second misconception is that reading the question first will help us to understand the paragraph better. But this is also a misconception. This is not correct because it is not possible for a person to remember all the questions, and without reading the passage we won't be able to remember the questions or we won't be able to connect the questions with the passage. So that's why we have to read the passage first and then we have to answer the questions which are set on it. So we have to avoid these two misconceptions while answering the comprehension test. Now let us move on to the procedure of answering comprehension passage. So how to solve the comprehension passage? And the first point is, Read the passage as fast as possible. So here, to solve the passage, we have to read the passage as fast as possible, because remember, this concept, passage for comprehension, will be asked for 10 marks and you are also given a lengthy passage. So you have to read the passage as fast as possible to answer all the questions. So this is the first step. Read the passage as fast as possible and don't waste your time by rereading the passage. You have to just read as fast as possible and you have to answer 10 questions set on that passage. Second point, get involved with the paragraph to understand it. So here the second point is we have to get involved. That means we have to be very attentive while reading the passage. Then only we can understand the passage. We have to get involved in the passage while reading. Then only we are able to understand the idea of the passage and the meaning of the passage. Then we can easily identify the important words and sentences and then we can easily solve the questions. Third point, try to translate a complex line in an easy one in your own words or in your own language. That means here, while reading the passage, if you come across a complex line or a complex sentence, then you have to translate those sentences in your own language. It will help you to understand the passage easily and also help you to analyze the main idea of the paragraph and in seeking the cause and effect of the passage. Next point, do not assume anything based on your personal belief. So here you are not supposed to assume anything. You have to just find out the answer from the passage. You are not supposed to involve or implement your own ideas while solving the question. So the next point is do not assume anything based on your own beliefs. Next point, look back at the paragraph when in doubt. So the next point is you have to look back at the paragraph when you are in doubt. So while solving the passage, if you have any doubts or if you get any doubts, then you have to just reread the passage and then you have to solve the questions. Next point, read the questions and all the alternative provided and choose the most appropriate one. Next point, set of questions to be answered in sequence. So here it is very important, set of questions to be answered in sequence. That means you are not supposed to mix up the question sequence because it is mandatory that all the questions under the passage should be in one place and it should be answered in order So you are not supposed to mix up the question sequence. You have to answer the questions based on its order. So next point, answer to the point. That means here this passage comprehension carries 10 marks. That means here this concept will be asked for 10 marks and you are given one passage, one lengthy passage and 10 questions based on that passage and each question contains 1 mark. So always remember 1 mark question should be always answered in a word or a phrase or a sentence. You are not supposed to write more than one sentence. So answer to the point. That means you have to answer in a word or a phrase or a sentence. So these are some procedures or these are some steps which we have to use while answering the passage comprehension or while answering the comprehension test. Now let us solve some examples on comprehension test. So students, this is the question on comprehension test, and now look at the question here. Fourth main 24, question number 24. Read the following passage, answer the questions set on it, and here this question will be asked for 10 marks. That means 10 questions will be there and each question carries 1 mark. So now let us read the passage first. 1300 years ago, there came a great traveler from China to India in search of wisdom and knowledge. His name was Yuan Sang, and over the deserts and mountains of the north, he came braving many dangers, facing and overcoming many obstacles. So great was his thirst for knowledge. Yuan Sang spent many years in India learning himself and teaching others, especially at the great University of Nalanda, which existed then near the city that used to be called Pataliputra and is known as Patna. Yuan Sang became very learned and he was given the title of Master of Law. He journeyed all over India and saw and studied the people who lived in this great country in those 4 off days. So this is the passage, and now look at the questions here. When did Yuan Sang come to India? Second one, where did Yuan Sang come from? Third one, what did he thirst for? From which university did Yuan Sang learn as well as teach? What was Patna called earlier? Mention the title given to Yuan Sang. So now the first question, before answering the questions, just underline the important points while reading the passage. So 1300 years ago. So 1300 years ago, there came a great traveler from China to India in search of wisdom and knowledge. His name was Yuan Sang, and over the deserts and mountains of the north, he came braving many dangers, facing and overcoming many obstacles. So great was his thirst for knowledge. Yuan Sang spent many years in India learning himself and teaching others, especially at the great University of Nalanda, which existed then near the city that used to be called Pataliputra and is known as Patna. Yuan Sang became very learned and he was given the title of Master of Law. He journeyed all over India and saw and studied the people who lived in this great country in those 4 off days. So now let us solve the questions. When did Yuan Sang come to India? So here the answer, Yuan Sang came to India 1300 years ago. So you have to write Yuan Sang came to India 1300 years ago. So this is the answer. Yuan Sang came to India 1300 years ago. Next one, where did Yuan Sang come from? So answer is, look at the passage. Where did Yuan Sang come from? So here, great traveler from China to India. So he came from China. So you have to write Yuan Sang came from China. So Yuan Sang came from China. Next one, what did he thirst for? So what did he thirst for? He thirsted for knowledge. So just write. So here you have to write he thirsted for knowledge. Next one, from which university did Yuan Sang learn as well as teach? So look at the passage. In India, learning himself and teaching others, especially at the great university of Nalanda. So you are writing from which university? Just write from Nalanda University. So, from Nalanda University. What was Patna called earlier? So, Patna was called Pataliputra, right? So, you have to write Patna was called Pataliputra earlier. So, Patna was called Pataliputra. Next one, mention the title given to Yuan Sang. So, what was the title here? He was given the title of Master of Law. So, you just write this title. So, this is how you have to solve the passage comprehension. And here remember, answer should be in a word, phrase or a sentence. You are not supposed to write more than one sentence, and this question will be asked for 10 marks. 10 questions will be there. But here I have chosen only 6 questions because I chosen the small passage to explain. So that's why I solved only 6 questions. So, let us solve another example. So, students, this is the second passage. Now, let us read the passage. There are so many ways to travel. The most common way to travel is probably in some type of motorized vehicle. If you are traveling with your family and you are not going far away, you could take a car. If you want to go somewhere with a lot of people, you could go in a van or bus. If you need to travel through the water, boats or another kind of transportation, we can go on small boats to travel to a close place. Big ships can take us to a far away lands. Submarines travel in the water also. They go way down deep into the water. Aeroplanes are also a great way to travel. Many people choose to fly in jet aeroplanes if they need to go far away and want to get there quickly. An aeroplane is fun to ride in because you can see the earth from way up high. So now look at the questions here. What type of transportation could you use to travel through the water? So answer. So we can travel through the water by using a ship, boat or a submarine. Why might someone choose to travel in an aeroplane? So here answer is, so look at the answer. Many people choose to fly in jet aeroplanes if they need to go far away and want to reach there quickly. So you have to write this sentence. So here many people choose to fly in jet aeroplane if they need to go far away. So why might someone choose to travel in an aeroplane? So write many people choose to travel in an aeroplane if they need to go far away and want to get there quickly. Next one, the main idea of this story is there are many ways to travel. Option 1, there are many ways to travel. Option B, aeroplanes can go fast. Option C, you should just stay home. So the proper answer, appropriate answer here, option A, there are many ways to travel. Okay, so next question, why is an aeroplane fun to ride in? So question is, why is an aeroplane fun to ride in? So here look at the sentence, an aeroplane is fun to ride in because you can see the earth from way up high. So you have to write this sentence. An aeroplane is fun to ride in because you can see the earth from way up high. So this is the answer. Next one, where can big ships take us? So look at the passage here again. So question, where can big ships take us? So big ships can take us to far away lands. So this is the answer. Big ships can take us to far away land. This is the answer for fifth question. So I am not going to write because there is no space. So just look at the answer. Big ships can take us far away lands. Okay. So from the point of your examination, this question will be asked for 10 marks and you have to write the answer. There is no need to write the questions, you just write the answer, but you should mention the question number properly and you are not supposed to mix up the question sequence. You are not supposed to mix up the question sequence. Instead, you have to write in order. And remember, you have to write the answer in a word, phrase or a sentence. You are not supposed to write more than one sentence. This is how you have to solve the passage comprehension. So, dear students, today in this session, we have studied what is comprehension, meaning of comprehension, what is the meaning of passage for comprehension and what are the misconceptions related to the passage comprehension test and what are the steps or procedures to solve the passage comprehension, and also we have solved 2 examples on passage comprehension. I hope you have understood the concept very well. If you have any doubts or clarification, you can contact us via WhatsApp. In your workbook, there are some passages. You have to solve that passage and you have to take a pic of it and send it via WhatsApp. Thank you.